Hop up out the bed, turn my fail on, took a look in the mirror, said you suck. Yeah, I'm failing Bomani. Oh, it looks like we have our newest nomination for the upcoming first annual HEF Awards. Now, for those of you that are relatively new here to the channel, the HEF Awards, it stands for Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. It kind of started organically a while back. I was seeing all these award shows nominating and awarding these so-called celebrities and athletes, pretending like they have accomplished something great when all they've accomplished is embarrassing failure. Perfect example of this. Earlier this month, ESPN awarded the prepubescent boy and the activist on the U.S. women's soccer team with the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. Well, KC, what did they do that was so courageous? Oh, they spent the last year preaching the good word, fighting the good fight, convincing lost souls to be baptized and born again. They have been working extremely hard to fight for the rights of men to polish their muffler in the women's locker room. They won their battle with what the mainstream media is calling the fight for equal pay. Translation? Maggie Rapinoe and her activists, they were given money that they haven't earned. We used to call that reparations or welfare. Today, we call it progress. Bomani Jones was the original inspiration for the term huge embarrassing failure. I mean, no one does failure like Bomani Jones. Bomani Jones and his epic career of failure, we have covered it extensively here on the channel. But over the last several months, we have seen some worthy contenders step into the dump to battle the Bobo for the crown of huge embarrassing failure. Tiffany Cross, better known as Tiffer the Bongo Sniffer. Jamel Hill, ESPN, Chris Cuomo. Hey, it's me, Chrissy C. Bud Light, Target, Bob Dylan Mulvaney. Chris the Bongo Licker, who remains in the unemployment line. Donnie Lemon. A couple of weeks ago, we added Caitlin Collins to the list of nominations. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! Honestly, we could nominate the entire network at CNN. Now, you can make a strong case that 2023 has been the year of the huge embarrassing failure. For the first time in a long time, normal people have begun to speak out. But we're not using our voice. This is more of a silent resistance, but the message is loud and clear. Normal people have stopped supporting the bullshit. We have stopped supporting people and organizations that represent the antithesis of our values. Normal people have spoken by using their two most powerful tools, their wallet and their remote control. This ongoing writer's strike, that's not what's destroying the business in Hollywood. You are. Cord cutting is not the primary reason that ESPN is struggling to remain relevant. You are. Throughout this year of embarrassing failure, there has been one male birthing person that's kind of been lurking in the shadows. There's been one man watching all of this failure unfold, watching all these other people being recognized for their failure and wondering why he continues to go unnoticed. Perhaps he was inspired by Bomani Jones. I know for a fact that he sees the failure of Chris Wallace at CNN. Wallace Chrissy, he has been an unmitigated disaster since arriving at CNN 2 years ago. Who's talking to Chris Wallace? No one? Hell, they tried to build a streaming platform around Chris Wallace. These dumbasses believed him when he told CNN, I'm a big star. Yeah. 3 weeks later, CNN Plus shut down. Like I said, there's been one man lurking in the shadows this entire time, just waiting for his opportunity to achieve huge embarrassing failure status. I'm talking about Jake the Bongo Tapper. Now, before we go any further, let me make this abundantly clear. Jake Tapper, he has been an embarrassing failure for years now, but until recently, he has failed to achieve huge embarrassing failure status. There is a difference. There's a lot of embarrassing failures, but there's only a select few, the elite of the elite, who reach the status of huge embarrassing failure. Like most of the so-called talent at CNN, Jake Tapper, he reached modest levels of success when Donald Trump was in the White House. Orange man bad. But once the orange was peeled, once the man representing marginalized oranges was forced to exit the White House, Jake Tapper, he was forced to rely on himself to draw ratings. In order to draw ratings, you have to possess something called talent, charisma. Poor Jack Tapper, he's got neither. With a string of embarrassing failures on television over the last 3 or so years at CNN, Jack Tapper decided that he needed to get a side hustle. Now, as you guys know, the Titanic, known as CNN, sinking rapidly. Collectors of woke welfare at the network, they're concerned about their future financial status. What am I going to do if CNN shuts down? Well, I think Chris Cuomo has showed you the way. You take yourself and your dozens of viewers to a network that no one's heard of. Instead of failing in the spotlight, you fell in the shadows. With the Titanic taking on water and without the assistance of Leah Thomas's propeller to keep them afloat, Jake Tapper, he has decided that he needs something to fall back on. How could he utilize his lack of talent to make a few extra dongs, which is the preferred currency at Woke United Methodist, the dong? Now let's pretend for a second that we are Jake Tapper. How could we utilize our limited skills that we have available to generate a few extra dongs? Well, he could take the Butt Bongo Band on tour and play in Shaggin' Dragons across America. I mean, yeah, that is one option, but we've got commitments to CNN. Touring every weekend, that would become exhausting. Plus, with the budget tightening at CNN, they're not going to have enough makeup to cover the bags under our eyes. We could write an autobiography. I mean, America is dying to know about the personal life of Jake Tapper. I don't know about that. Judging by ratings, I don't think anyone gives a shit about Jake Tapper. Plus, remember the recent autobiography from Jemele Hill? I believe she called it a memoir on mythical racism. She expected people to read it with anticipation, but the handful of people who bought it ended up using it as a table propper. The free copies that were printed for promotional purposes, all those free copies still available. But you are getting close by guessing an autobiography, because Jake Tapper did decide that writing was going to be his best option for a side hustle. But instead of writing an autobiography, the Bongo Tapper, he decided to compose a work of fiction. And to his credit, this was a smart choice. I mean, he's got access to plenty of fiction 24 hours a day, every day at CNN. Turn on CNN in the morning, fiction. Afternoons, fiction. Prime time, fiction. A couple of weeks ago, Jake Tapper, he released his book of fiction titled All the Demons Are Here. All the demons are here. I guess instead of receiving his inspiration from CNN, it appears he was motivated by Joy Reid at MSNBC. Jake describes this book as a fiction thriller. I transport readers back to the 1970s where they're exposed to underground cults, discos, and UFOs. Captivating. My inside sources tell me the main character in the book is based on the life of the Star Trek virgin Mike Freeman. But don't waste your time or money reading the book. I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler. No, Mike does not lose his virginity. I mean, he gives a valiant effort trying to get laid by Marvin the Martian. Unfortunately, though, Marvin, he prefers the passionate touch of aliens over the passionate touch of a desperate man. Jake Tapper, he utilized the marketing department at Woke U to advertise his book of failure to the masses. He received glowing endorsements from celebrities like Jake Gyllenhaal and Paul Rudd. He was interviewed by Vanity Fair, where they asked him the real tough questions. Jake, you are clearly going after Bomani Jones for the crown of huge embarrassing failure, but wouldn't this be an example of mythical racism? The white man taking something that belongs to marginalized groups? Next question, please. The Tapper, he received praise from the Washington Post. USA Today wrote a nice puff piece praising this woke work of art. The marketing department at Woke U, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars promoting this book. The publishing company, they were expecting to see results. So, how many copies of this book were sold? According to Radar Online, the Bongo Tapper, he managed to sell 4,354 copies in his first week. Now, we can look at this one of two ways. We can look at this through the prism of reality and say that this confirms Jake Tapper's nomination for the Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards, or we could look at this through a more positive lens. Jake Tapper was able to sell almost 4,400 copies in 1 week. It took Jemele Hill 2 months to reach that same point. If you compare Jake Tapper to Jamel Hill, his book is a resounding success, but let's not do that. Let's not compare Jake to other huge embarrassing failures. Let's compare him to a normal person. Joey Jones from Fox News, he released his book around the same time as Jake Tapper. Now, for those that don't know, Joey Jones, he's a real American hero. He lost his legs defending our country in the war in Iraq. Now, this book from Joey Jones, it was titled Unbroken Bonds of Battle, a modern warrior's book of heroism, patriotism, and friendship. Now, as you can see, this book was obviously written about the courageous Megan Rapinoe. But you got to remember, Jake Tapper, he has his own show on CNN. He has endless opportunity to promote his book daily to dozens of viewers. Joey Jones, he's only a contributor at Fox News. He doesn't have his own show, his own platform. He's on TV for a few minutes at a time and then he's gone. First week, Joey Jones sold over 20,000 copies. As of today, he sold almost 50,000. But KC, that's not a fair comparison. Jake Tapper's audience, they can't read. If you include audiobooks, I'm sure Jake crushed his competition. Oh yeah? Yeah. Well, I checked sales for the audio version. Jake Tapper sold 5 copies. 5 fucking copies. 5? I could write a love story about a baboon seducing a banana and sell more than 5 copies. While I don't think Jake Tapper is a legit contender to dethrone Bomani Jones as the undefeated reigning champion of huge embarrassing failures, I do think Jake at least deserves to be nominated. I mean, this is quite the accomplishment. A weeks-long book tour, constant promotion from celebrities in the mainstream media, and you sell less than 5,000 copies? I think he deserves to be nominated. What do you think? Has Jake Tapper earned a nomination for the Hef Awards? Also, does this further prove that normal people are no longer tolerating the bullshit? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.